Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Nicole with Made from Scrap, and today I'm just going to do a little talk of my tags that I've been making with some of the Julie Nutting dolls. It's a stamp, and there's many of them, and I like to collect them and play around. It allows me to use my imagination with the papers that I get from Country Craft Creations. This is my latest tag. I am using the Here Comes the Bride paper collection, and I've used some of the other elements from my design team package, like the Tim Holtz frames from Ideaology. Comes in a 2-pack. I used the ephemera piece and laid the frame down on top of it, traced around it, and then cut it just a shallow bit smaller than the frame outline. Then I used some of the Sparkletz that I got in my package in order to lay across a couple of veneer pieces that I picked up from another store, and that, by gluing that down on the back of the veneer, it helps me look like there's a little bit of champagne in the back of those glasses. I like to use things out of my craft room and make them look like a little something going on a scene for these tags. So I tried to make it look like a little wallpaper. I used some distressed texture paste that I've got in a past design team package, and I put that onto the background paper, and then used some vintage photo along the edges and on top of it to just mute a little bit of that paper. I used an embossing folder that I've had in my stash for a while for the wood grain on this barrel, and then I used some lace from my stash as well. The dress I cut out two times for the bottom section and fussy cut around that so that I could get a couple more ruffles. Then I cut just the bodice portion out a third time, and I layered that and trimmed the sides so it wasn't so wide so that it could have the top section. I used some flat back pearls from my craft room stash and a couple of flat back gemstones for the something blue. For the flowers, I pulled out some Prima Flower collection, and I scrunched the flowers down and snipped off the wires at the bottom, wrapped those wires with a little bit of lace and gold thread in order to make the bouquet. And the lace I used for her veil, I wrapped around in a spiral so that you could always see the right side of the lace, and then I used another snippet of that same lace and gathered it on the front, hot glued it, and then wrapped it over top of her head before placing those flat back pearls. So that's the front of the tag, and this is the back. Now for these tags with the Prima dolls, Julie Nutting dolls, I like to go ahead and create my own tag. Typically what I'll do is use leftover packaging, and then I cut these down. So the typical size that I use is 3.5 inches wide and 7.5 inches long. Then I use one of my We Are Memory Keepers crocodiles, and using the angle side in order to make this clip right here. You can simply use your scissors if you'd like. And then I usually make the hole reinforcers too out of the same paper that I've used for the collection. I use the fatter side of the crocodile and punch a hole in the paper first, just like this. Once I have that hole, then I will use a little 1/2 inch punch, center that hole in the middle of my punch, and then I have a hole reinforcer. So that's my Here Comes the Bride tag.